Hello everyone. Welcome to today's session. Um, we will be learning today about different asynchronous patterns and how they can help you to enhance your code by increasing the efficiency and code um, and how to make your code more readable and compatible. So, throughout this session, you will learn different types of like evolution of different types of asynchronous patterns, which will be starting from the callbacks, promises, and the latest pattern, that is async await. So before we dive in, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Dhanashree Burade. I've been working as web developer in Maniorange from past 2.5 years as of now. I have hands-on experience in web technologies, including JavaScript. Sorry. So let's get started. Before getting into asynchronous programming patterns, let us just know the basics. So, what is difference between asynchronous and synchronous programming? Basically, synchronous programming is a process in which tasks are executed in a sequential manner. Like if a particular step gets failed or gets stuck, the next step will be delayed, or the entire program will be delayed, because in synchronous programming, the next step cannot be executed before the previous step is has completed its execution. So, for example, you see in this image, if process A starts its execution, and in between, if process A gets stuck or gets delayed, the entire process will be delayed, because process B cannot start. Process B cannot start its execution without the completion of process A. So, on the other hand, if we look into asynchronous programming, it is a way in which processes are executed in parallel way, like they are executed simultaneously. If a certain process gets stuck, the next process won't be dependent on the previous process. It will complete its execution independently. Similarly, if you see in the image, in the asynchronous part, process A and process B are executing simultaneously. If process A gets stuck, it won't affect the process B. So this fault tolerance and efficient way of handling the processes by asynchronous programming helps the modern application to be efficient enough. So now let's look at the most like the earliest and the influential influential implementation of asynchronous programming, that is Ajax. So what is Ajax? Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It's particularly a technique where you can update a certain parts of your web pages without reloading the entire page. So it is basically if a user interacts on your web page, and in certain section, if you want to retrieve any particular data, then the retrieving process would be going on in the background without affecting the user interface of the user, um, because Ajax helps you to make your web pages more responsive. So this processes runs in the background without affecting the entire, like you don't have to entirely reload the page. It would be going in the background. Ajax has been the most like the groundwork. Ajax has done the most groundwork thing for other upcoming modern asynchronous patterns. Basically, Ajax has been used in different type of common type of tasks. Basically, you can see here we have form validations. Like we have forms on our web pages. We don't have to, if we submit a form, we don't have to entirely refresh the page on submit button. So, um, so let's quickly learn Ajax in a code example. Here, first, the Ajax starts with creating a XML HTTP request object. It is basically responsible for handling the request and response. Then the next we have dot open method, which will be having the three parameters. First is the type of request method, which we have get. The second will be the URL from which the data has to be fetched. And the third will be a Boolean parameter. In our case, it is true. So that signifies that the request is a asynchronous request. Then we have next we have dot onload function. This will be triggered when the request is completed. Like if the inside it we have conditions. If it is successful, if we get status 200, we log the response, or if it's an error, we log the error. And this all request that has been created would be sent when the dot send function is triggered. So this is how this is just a basic example how Ajax would work. Then we have Ajax have different data formats in which you can exchange your data. So we have basically two types of formats, XML versus JSON. So in early days, XML has been the standard for data sharing, but due to its complexity and not very user friendly, recently we have moved to JSON. JSON is basically a JavaScript object notation where which is lightweight, less complex, and user friendly. So nowadays, JSON has been the standard for data sharing in asynchronous programs like Ajax. So it's a simple recap on Ajax. Like before introducing Ajax, it was like a bit of difficult. Developers and users kind of had difficulty because for a simple data transfer or something, or handling something form validation, for example, we needed to reload the entire page. So the user experience was not so good. But after introducing Ajax, the user experience has been greatly improved, we can say. But with such great with such great advancements, Ajax had some challenges too, which is why we have to move up with modern techniques, which will be explained in further slides. So, challenges are like composability, debugging, redundant syntax. Basically, for a basic task, we had to write multiple lines. The debugging of the program was very not very fast because the it was not readable. The readability of codes written in Ajax is not so good. So this all challenges lead us to different modern programming techniques. What are asynchronous programming patterns basically? These are the techniques, structural way and techniques which helps to maintain your code, which increases your readability. Basically the challenges we faced in our previous example, that was Ajax. So to improve the different types of challenges, readability, error handling, compatibility, etc., we introduce asynchronous patterns, the structured way which can help us to handle these challenges. In the upcoming session, in the upcoming slides, we would be learning key patterns, 3 different key patterns, which are callbacks, promises, and async await. In this slide, we are going to learn about what are callbacks and what are the challenges we faced. So let's get started about it. So what are callbacks? Callbacks are basically a function passed to another function as an argument. How they work? When a function is called, it continues is when a function is called, it continues its execution without stopping for other functions. Okay, sorry. Basically, what are callbacks? In callbacks, it is like a function would be passed to another function as an argument. The function would be executing without affecting the main thread. So it was a basic implementation of a synchronous program. Like, it won't affect the main thread. It will keep its execution going on. But with this, callback had some challenges too. Callback had it was very simple way to just nest it up one by one after one function after another. So this nesting created a situation which is called as callback hell. Debugging this type of nested steps also was very difficult for debugging. So due to these challenges, we came up with another patterns, which we'll be learning in further slides. So let us look at a quick example about callback. Like I explained, it is basically a function passed to a function as an argument. Like here, fetch data. Inside fetch data, if we come, we have set timeout. There, the data processing is our main thread going on. This main thread would be given a delay. After the execution of that main thread, a callback function is invoked. which has given the argument that is the fetch data. This in our example, display data is a callback function. Like at the last line, you can see the fetch data is the starting function which was passed with display data function as an argument. In this way, it is a very basic example. So we cannot see a lot of complexity here. But when we go to big operations, like we have to do a large asynchronous operations, then this nested functions get very complicated. So debugging it is very crucial way, very crucial. So we had to move on with this method. The next method we will be seeing is promises. So as we saw, callbacks created a situation that is callback hell, which is which is a situation where multiple nested callbacks are used. So due to these challenges, we needed a new modern method, which is promises. Promises is basically promises was basically introduced because we had this situation. So it represents it's basically represents success or failure of a situation. It is a generalized concept which will be like the process promise is a generalized concept where it will be it will be giving us basically states or a value of success or failure of the process. There is few key concepts in promises, which will be starting with .then. Since we had that nested callback situation, promises introduced .then methods to handle it in a clean manner. And then we had a central, the major advantage of using promise was centralized error handling, which was done using .catch method. So debugging the issue with callbacks was debugging, right? It was solved using centralized error handling tool. So the promises works in promises are executed on the basis of the state management. Promises tracks progress basically in with the states. As you can see on the diagram, when the value of the promise is not yet known, promise would be in pending state. Then after next transition, according to the task completion, it would transition into one of the state that is fulfilled or resolved or and the rejected state. If the process is successfully completed, it would be going into the .then function, and it would be proceeded further. And if it's rejected, it would be handled using .catch method. Okay.
Nothing.
So basically, as we saw, callbacks with their challenges. So it was a bit improvement over callback. To summarize it, promises are basically a basic improvement over the callbacks challenges, which was nested callbacks and error handling. So Promises makes the code a bit cleaner and a bit readable, so that it can be easier to manage. So let's take a basic example for Promises too. Here, similarly, we have a fetch data function, and then we create a promise with two arguments, resolve and rejected, as we saw in our image. In the set timeout function, um, if we have basically conditions. If it's successful, it would be going into resolve state, and then the log will be printed. Similarly, if we have on the other hand, we have if it goes in else condition, it would be handled using dot catch method in the face in the below section. So it is basically dependent upon the state of the operation in which it is at that point of time. So this was a basic example for it. Let's take it further. So in this slide, we would be diving into the most latest pattern, that is async await. So we had seen two topics, callbacks and promise. So even after basic improvement over callback, Promises too had some challenges which had to be improved. So we introduced this async await. It is also based on the concept of promise. It is just a syntactical improvement over it. So it is just async await is just a syntactical improvement. It has two. It is how it works basically. It has async and await, in which async is a function. Async is a function which handles the asynchronous operations, and await is a keyword which pauses the execution of the asynchronous operation that is like promise until it is resolved. So what are the advantages of async await over the Ajax and Promises that we saw? Okay. Async await basically uses, as we saw, Ajax uses XML HTTP request, but over the time it had issues with compatibility with modern tools. So we came up with Fetch API. So async await uses that, and to improve the error handling further, async await uses try and catch method. So as you can see in this example, it looks and behaves like a synchronous code, a top-down approach, but at the back in the back side it is still a asynchronous program. So let's have a quick recap with this technique. Like Ajax was a traditional method, and async await is a modern latest pattern. So looking at this code, you can clearly observe that the right side code, async await, is a bit clear, readable, and handled in a top-down approach, which is similar to synchronous pattern, but in backend it runs as a asynchronous program. Here, in traditional methods, as I told, HTTP XML HTTP request was used, but due to advancements, the compatibility issues arise. So we will be using Fetch API in the modern method. Then here in async await, as we saw earlier, error handling is done using the try and catch. And as you can see in traditional Ajax, there are too many conditions while handling the errors. So it becomes very complicated when the program gets vast. So we moved. So let's look at modern libraries, which helps us to write our asynchronous programs more efficiently. So some of them are Axios, Socket.io, Fetch API, Bluebird, RxJS. Axios, so basically Axios are used when you have to do a HTTP request. It is a promise-based HTTP client, so it's cleaner and more user-friendly. Then we have Fetch API. Axios is great, but Fetch API is a browser built-in, so it is way more lightweight alternative. Then RxJS is using our reactive programming. Then we have Bluebird and Socket.io. Basically, Socket.io is used. It enables bidirectional communication. So it is basically used for live chat applications. And Bluebird is when you need some advanced promise libraries, you use Bluebird. It has extended functionalities of promises. So these are basically some of there are many libraries. These are basically some of the libraries you can use to make your code cleaner, more efficient. So you can create powerful applications, web applications. So basically we had this. So in today's session, we have covered the basics about synchronous, asynchronous, then the traditional approach, that is Ajax, and different key patterns, callbacks, promises, async await, their challenges, why we have evolved after having how we evolved over the different programming patterns. Then we also saw some basic libraries which can enhance your code. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, feel free to ask now. So if you have any feedbacks about this session, you can scan the QR code. And you can also connect me on LinkedIn and email me at dhanashri.burhade@sigrify.com. Thank you for attending the session.